In part 2 of the rust repair for the 69 C10 core support, we're going to finish the lower right repair section we started last time and get it ready to prime. And be ready to prime that and the core support in the next video and weld some pieces together. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and smash the notification button that tells you when I post a new video. Yes sir, buddy. I realized I haven't been showing a lot of cutting and grinding and shaping or filing, whatever. So I thought I'd do that at least on one thing. This hole here, the access hole, I guess you'd call it, the core support bolt that sits under here. I gotta clean this up some more, dress it a little bit more, shape it better. So do that right quick. First thing I want to do is cut it, rough cut it, and then I'll take a die grinder with a carbide bit in it and clean it up. As I've been saying with pretty much everything else I've been doing, sneak up on it. I try not to caveman it and just go all out. Sneak up on stuff. That way you don't overdo it normally. You probably can't even see that. Let's see. This is a half round file. Not sure what cut it is. I couldn't tell you. I don't know all the cuts for files, the names, or what's what. Mill cut, bastard cut. There's different ones. Pretty good. So that's the hole I just cleaned out. Not hole, but well, whatever you want to call it. It'll do. Here's the hole plug I cut for this hole right here. Fit right there and weld it up. Just weld up that little hole in the middle. Won't be any big deal. I've got to roll this edge right here around this. So luckily I had a piece of pipe. It's about the right size. I'm going to use to help me turn it. It won't be perfect, but it'll get me close. So I'm going to start the turn, and then that's not great, but it's certainly not bad. Better than trying to turn it by hand because it have all kind of kinks and stuff in it. So I don't know if you can see it. It turned. Let's see. It turned a pretty good curve most of the way. I'll have to bend it by hand on the back side here and finish it up. Let's see what we can do here. Start welding it up. See how good we can do it. There'll be a little gap filling, but that's, I mean, like it's never been done before. The trick here is just to tack it along the curve. So I get the curve formed like I want it, then I can solid weld it, finish weld it. That's welded. But if you can see, it's welded up, and then the inside came out pretty good. I'll have to do very little grinding down inside of there. Now I just got to cut this back tab off, get it flush, and then weld that up. Try to do this where you can see what I'm doing. It's not easy with one hand. Trying to do it where you can see what I'm doing. It's not easy with one hand, let me tell you. Okay. Cut that off, give it a little touch up with the grinder. I ground the corner flush. I think you can see. And all I gotta do is just put a weld bead. We'll be done for the welding part of it. Okay. this will do. Again, this is over and beyond. I just like to do this when I can. Just gives you a better job. Plus the file, you'll get straighter edges than you will, grind them with a grinder. This file really lets you get the edges straight. And that already looks better to my eye right there. Just by dressing it with the file a little bit. Seasoned, if you're a seasoned body man or anybody that's worked sheet metal, you can see when things are bent and curved and bowed just by the highlights in the metal and the way the scratches show in the light. And this, so I can see now that the file marks just really starting to come out nice. This is how I metal finish most of my stuff, if I have the opportunity to do it. Some things you can't get a file onto. It's just impossible. But where I can, and it's practical, I like to use a file just to get that final dress up. It really does a nice job. And a piece that nobody's going to see. You take pride in what you do. I do anyway. Alright, I could file on this for hours. I don't need to. It's really come together. It looks nice. It really does. So I don't know if you can see, but there we are after filing. It looks good. I'm happy with it. So there we go. One more step. I cut this small piece here. I'll show you where it goes in a moment. The top side, which is this is the finished side that's going to show where I cut with a bandsaw. I'm just going to do my file it lightly if I can get this vise to hold it. I can hold it by hand, it's just not as easy. If I get the vise to work and it wants to fight me. So just take the file, and I want to file this edge. It's a nicer edge than using a grinder. It doesn't take but a minute. It doesn't take much to do it. It makes me feel, I like doing it. I mean, a lot of people think I'm just seriously overkill, and it probably is. But it's just how I like to do it. I've been filing wells and metal for nearly 40 years, and it's just how I like to do it. You really can't see that. That just looks better than our old rust cruddy. You can't really see it because it won't focus. This looks better than the cruddy ground edge. Just looks nice. Where that piece goes is right here. It says turn down. It finishes this edge off. This is turn down that finishes this edge off. It goes right down in this corner. You can't see that. It goes down in that corner. You know, you see that's what it was. And this finishes that end like that. So what it's supposed to look like on the factory version, it's got this real nice radius curve over and this curve here. I didn't worry about the curve matching this curve in here. I'd had to heat it and probably heat it with something to form it, which I could do. I'm just not, I say I'm not going to now. I mean, I could backtrack, because looking at it, I don't know. I'll see what I wind up doing. The top, though, I know for sure there's supposed to be this nice radius edge right here. What I'm going to do is tack it on long like it is now, cut it off, and then cut it back pretty hard and bevel it, and then weld it and grind in a radius edge with some extra weld bead on the back so it won't grind through. I'll show more about that later. I hadn't decided. Now I sit here looking at this corner right here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll think about it and figure out something. I'm going to put a couple tacks in here to hold this in place, so I can take it off and put it on the bench to weld it solid. Make sure it's where I want it. Okay. Guess it wouldn't hurt to put one clamp on there so it can't move. It probably would not move, but the potential for moving it is always there. But when you weld stuff, it does move around from the heat. So all I got to do is push that down a little bit and hit a tack on it. A tough spot to get to, and that's only temporary too. I just want to hold it in place. Same thing on this side, and that moved on me. Told you stuff would move. Okay, that cat right there. I like to put one here in the middle. Move this clamp to do it. There we go. Those are not pretty welds, but they're going to get cut off anyway. They're just there temporarily. Okay, now I can hit this seam down here. And that's actually a finished weld there. I'm not sure about the rest of that bend yet. Let me look at it and study on it. So, but that part's done, so we can pull that out now and finish welding from the back side. Okay. While I'm here, I want to go ahead and weld this hole up, which you probably can't see at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and weld up this hole right here. So to do that, here's the plug here's the plug I made. So I'm going to use these little magnets. They're little magnets that hold things in place. They're magnets. I mean, what's a magnet do? Holds metal, magnetic, metallic, whatever. Basically, you take them and you put them in place across. I'll show you better here in a moment. You put them in place, you know, across the seam like that, and they put in there pretty much perfectly matched. And these are both 16 gauges, so both the front side and the back side are perfectly even. So now all I have to do is weld it up. And the one thing about those magnets, they do kind of interfere with your weld arc, especially a MIG welder. I'm not sure if I've ever welded around one of those with a TIG. But that MIG arc is electricity, and magnets, you know, that's a uses in electricity. I won't, you know, get technical, but it will affect the weld arc. So if you ever use them around the weld, MIGing for sure, you can expect your arc to act a little funny. All I'm going to do is tack, and then pull the magnets out. Okay. Weld it up. You have to cut metal. That's a flat area, so I want to watch the heat. Could definitely cause it to warp a little bit, even in 16 gauge. There we go. Now I got to weld the hole up in the center. I got a trick for that too. When you're welding a hole up, even a small one, when you weld, you get a lot of bleed through or blowout on the back side from your wire and this extra puddle. So weld will not stick to copper. This is a copper backing plate, I guess we'll call it. A little magnetic deal. What you do is you put the copper, back the hole up with the copper pad, and then when you weld it, the weld won't blow through. It's really good for welding holes. I found one of these 2 or 3 years ago, talking about it online. I wish I'd known about it 30 years ago. Copper's a great way to back up holes and things like that. I've used it in numerous places. Other ways, you can use copper tubing to fit, you know, curves and creases. Anyway, let's weld this last hole up. Okay. Grind it down, and that'll be done. You may have to hit it from the front side. We'll see what it looks like when I flip it over. really nasty. Horrible big tall welds. It's going to take a huge amount of grinding. That was an easy one to grind down. 36 and 24 is just so coarse. It just really mars one up. I mean, I've done it for years, and I still do it when I need to. But I try not to if I don't have to. See if I can show. So there's the hole welded up. There's a little low spot right here, which is more in the metal, the core support, than my weld. But that looks fine. A little primer, nobody will ever see that. Check it from the front side. There's the front side. Good weld penetration. I'll grind that down. Nobody but me will ever know it. And you. Okay, there we go. I got this tab up here welded on. You can see the back, a little curve back there, ground from the back. I put a really high, really big weld bead back here. What I intend to do, I'm going to cut this off on that line, and then maybe bevel it, and then weld it over, and round it over, and probably have to re-weld it because I'll grind through probably. And then we'll kind of have this. Then I got to figure out what I'm going to do down in here. I haven't decided. I know I could weld this up and just leave it flat. I kind of want to make it look like this some, so I hadn't decided yet. I'll get there. Here's another trick, marking trick. I had to mark this. I had to mark this line here to cut this flange to this height here. So another trick: take a combination square, set it to the height you need. I'm actually backwards for this. Set to the height you need. See if I can. Yeah, set to the height you need. Then take your pen, marker, whatever, and run along with the marker. Did you see that? Anyway, you get the idea. Run your pen along, or your marker, or pencil, whatever, along with the square, and you'll get an even mark, or not even. You'll get an accurate mark instead of having to measure and get a straight edge and draw a line to follow whatever you're doing. Just do that. It's quick and it's easy and it works. Now I'm going to trim this tab off, or this, not tab, just flange, whatever you want to call it. Trim it off. Cut it. Trim it down, whatever you want to say. Now I'm going to trim this tab off, or this, not tab, just flange, whatever you want to call it. Trim it off. Cut it. Trim it down, whatever you want to say. You're probably backwards to me too. Alright, now I'm going to trim this tail off. That is marked. There you go. What I did earlier. I'll do a little bit around to get my seam where I want it, my edge where I want it. A little long here. A little long right here. And then I'll get a file and dress this edge. Come back and knock this down where I welded it earlier. Dress it with fire. You get rid of the burn on the inside when you cut. You want it to follow just as fast. We'll come small at the edge. Get under, or too far. Cut forward. Take curves on the front of it. Half hand side of it. Work curve. Just like doing it. It just gives a better job. And we have trade down, cut edge. Which way? Yeah, you can block it down, 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 down. All that. It doesn't work. It just gives a better edge. And I like more. I like this. Get stuff straight. This is nothing metal finishing, but it's close. I'm sure you can't see this, but there I can run my bare finger across this line, this edge, and got no risk. One spot right there behind the nut. I got no risk of being cut. I would never do that on a freshly cut edge. It would cut me to pieces. Even the ground edge, which this one is I follow this edge not as much as this edge. But you just get a much better edge. It just looks better. By the time you prime it and put paint on it, it looks factory. It looks really nice. It doesn't take that. You see how long it took me to do that? Not long at all. While I'm here, I will hit this top edge. I see it now. There we go. Got a nice edge. Not the welder. That's the welder side. Knock it up. We're almost ready to prime this piece and get it ready to weld on. Not quite. We're almost there. So I don't know if you remember where we started. All I had was this little piece right here. And then we turned it into, this. Pretty cool. Oh, and this corner here, I think I'm just going to weld it up from the back side and grind it and let it go. If I tried to form this like that over there, I'd have to get I've got a punch I made, a big round blunt edge punch that I could punch in there, probably heat it with some heat where I could bend it, but nobody's ever going to see this. I just don't think I'm going to do it. We'll see. If I was doing this for somebody else and charging somebody to repair their car, quote unquote, we'll use the word restore, but that word can be misused. If I was doing that, yeah, I would take the time to make this as close to factory as I could. But here, I just don't think it's worth the effort. Nobody's ever going to know it, and it won't bother me. And if it doesn't bother me, as much of a perfectionist as I am, should be all right. One last time here on this rounded over edge. like I said, I put a lot of weld bead back here. It's never going to be seen, so I'm not going to worry about dressing it up. I don't need to. Yeah, hearing some light. I filed this again with my file, basically metal finishing. You can see the file marks are very consistent. There's a few pinholes, nothing horrible. But if this is just like block sanding. If there was highs and low spots, you wouldn't see the very consistent file marks. You'd get basically those right there, the dark spots, which are low spots on the back side of that well bead, which I'm not worried about. This looks very nice. That's why I like to file things. It just gives you such a nice job. That's smooth as a baby's bottom. You can't tell because you're not here, but that is just incredibly smooth. A little sandpaper and some primer. That would even on the outside of a car, that would look nice, very nice. So I still got to fill this in. We'll be doing that next. This piece is almost ready for the show. Well, not a show, but anyway. Okay. So what I decided to do here, I basically welded it up with weld bead and built up this corner down in here. I added quite a bit of weld bead on the back just to make sure I wouldn't grind through. And what I'm using to grind places like this, I have cut-off wheels of different diameters after they've been cut down. These are the thicker ones. I believe these are 60 thousandths, although I'm not 100% sure, maybe 80 thousandths. They're not the thinner ones you use for general cutting. I use these for doing this kind of grinding only. They start out as a 3-inch disc. This is like half of one, still worn down. But you have them in different sizes. I even have them really small, so you can get down in corners like this. So that's what I'm going to do is grind that up and finish that out and see what we come away with. Hopefully it looks very similar to the other side, the factory side. I believe it will. It won't be an exact match, but it's going to be really close, I think. Just kind of grind. You can see it can be slow going, but you want to make something look halfway decent, that's what it takes. You're getting a pretty and caveman way through it and it don't look good. Doesn't look as good. This will take a little while. I'll show it, I'll keep the camera on. That's really close. Take it around here and work the corner a little bit. That's easier to angle. That's not really good there. This is the corner I filed earlier. It's now I filed into it. And one lead there. And a half round file. Most of this is 1/3 of anything right here. You make it over the overkill. That's fine. You take it. You file like this. That'd be nice in that corner. Now I've got a little bit of excess weld bead right in here. I'll see if I can blend it with the die grinder. I could stop there, but I'm going to try to blend it a little better if I can. Let's see if we, it's a half round bit with a round front instead of a flat carbide cutter. I think it's carbide. Anyway, metal cutting bit. It's getting there. I think that'll do. Those little metal slivers, like 1,000 little tiny daggers, they will get you. I got some in my fingers right now from this morning when I wasn't being careful. So, yeah, not fun. Get a better bite on my kibble. I'm gonna put it right there. Work that. I could get a rat tail, but this half round rat tail file. This half round goes in there good enough for this. One more little thing I want to do. It's not really necessary, but I just do it. Take a piece of 80 grit. Didn't mean to tear that piece. Take a piece of 80 grit and just kind of rub over it. I'm not going to really remove any metal like this, but it does kind of polish it a little better and makes it show, show better, especially any flaws. It's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing you do with your metal finishing when you sand and file and grind and all that stuff. You want to see it. Okay. Get rid of as much of the grinding marks as you can. Although I'm grinding everything here with 60. I didn't put any 36 or 24 on this. It's just so coarse. And yes, I do use 24 and 36. Just not when I don't have to. So that's basically it. So here's my corner. Come on, camera. Here's my corner that we just made. It's not perfect. There is a little bit of little low spot here, little low spot, little gouge right there. If this was an exterior piece on the outside of the car, I would add some more weld bead. Think of this as sculpting. I'm sculpting this corner with weld bead and grinding and sanding. If this was an exterior piece of the car, I'd add some more weld bead and grind and dress that a little bit better. However, there'd be nothing actually wrong with putting a little bit of body filler in there. That would be a perfect thing to do too. But for this place, this core support, it was never going to be seen. We're good. We're good to go. The back side, we're adding some extra weld. I'm gonna grind this a little bit, but we are ready to sandblast it. Even though it's galvanized, I'm still going to sandblast where I welded, clean it up, rough it up a little bit, put some primer on it, and it'll be ready to weld in. So there we go. Turn one little piece that we had left into that. Alright, that's it for part 2. Be sure and come back for part 3 when we'll be doing some priming and weld some pieces together. And don't forget to hit the subscription button and smash the little notification bell so you know when I post a new video. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the flip side.